Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. All right, everybody, we are back. Thank you, Mr. Producer. Guys, I am here with the one and only Lisa Cage. Lisa, how are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Terrific. And we were just wrapping a little bit. It's finally nice to, to see somebody, like, you hear their voice and you picture like what they look like, or, and so it's cool to meet you face to face.
Yes, it's a pleasure.
So now we've talked about Love You're a Moment, which is what you've created. You are a wedding officiant, and that's that's a pronunciation. It's officiant, correct?
Correct.
And you guys are ministers, you're officiants, and you specialize in wedding ceremonies. Tell me about your business, please.
Yes, we do. We specialize in custom written ceremonies. We don't do anything out of a book. We send a questionnaire out, and because most of our couples, we never meet until the actual ceremony. And so we send a questionnaire out, and I always tell them, the more you tell me, the more personal I can make your ceremony. My whole staff, we all write our own. I feel like, I've obviously vetted the people that work for me as far as their philosophy, and if they're kind of on board with what I feel and what I expect. But I feel like that they would be more comfortable doing a ceremony they wrote than something I wrote and then gave to them. And so everybody does their own personal ceremonies if they're handling that one.
Gotcha. And Lisa, one thing I read in an interview, something that you said or you wrote, I thought it was so cool. You said that you and everyone that you work with, you all believe that love is love, period. And nobody should judge anyone who marries whom. That love is love is so refreshing. And I think maybe that's why you guys are so successful, and why so many people trust you and want you to be a part of their start in life.
Well, I hope so. Because like I said, I've been in church all my life. I say that I was born in church, but it really has broken my heart to see how, quote, the church has treated people just for being different or having a different belief, or for who they love for the most part. And I really had to do some deep dive research and in finding out why I believe what I believe, and that a lot of what I was taught, this is not what the Bible says. It's just not. If you go back, if you really dive into the scripture and go back to either the Hebrew or the Greek, and find out what the meanings are of a lot of what they, especially in the gay community, the LGBTQ community, what they consider the clobber scriptures. And if you look those up, they're not clobbering anybody. And it's just in how they've been interpreted. And my thought was, if those few scriptures have been interpreted to beat somebody up, what else has been? Right. And so I really have taken the past probably 5-6 years to really find out what I believe and why I believe it, and not because anybody's told me what to believe, which is basically, especially my generation and older, we didn't have the internet, and we were taught that, the man in the pulpit was the be all end all, and that what they said was the gospel truth. And I have found that's not true.
No, it's not. Right?
Not at all. And I'll tell you what the moment that did it was that I'd gone to pick up a friend at the airport, and it was an international flight coming in. And so I was sitting on the suitcase carousel waiting for her to come through the door. And there were people that were, from every ethnic, background, everybody you could think of were standing there, and some had signs, and some were just, dressed in their authentic custom attire. And I just watched, and I couldn't hear a word anybody was saying, but I could see them, and I could watch as people came through the door, and they found that one person that was looking for them, that one person that they loved. And like I said, I didn't hear a word they were saying. And so, it really just kind of hit me. If we just turn the volume off, turn off the sound, and every single person you meet basically wants the same thing. Yeah. They want, they want a roof over their head, food for their family, and they want to be loved, and they want to love. And so at that, I'm like, who am I to tell someone who they can or can't love? And, because really, to me, at the end of the day, love is the end all be all. And kind of it.
That was such a great way to say that, and I appreciate it, and it makes a lot of sense. And anyone who couldn't picture themselves where you were, just sitting there and seeing all these people, and when that one person just came through and they saw them and their eyes met, we're all the same. Like you said, we all want the same things. It's just, we might dress different or talk differently, but you're 100%. And at that moment, is that when you threw all the we all have the things that were told to us or taught to us that were really not the way they really are? Did you release all that and take a?
I think that was kind of the beginning of questioning, because I can't even tell you how I felt when I saw the different, and like I said, I couldn't hear a word anybody said. It wasn't what anybody was saying.
You didn't need to hear it.
It was just their actions. I didn't need to hear it.
Yeah.
The actions spoke volumes.
And that's what John says in the book, right?
So, right. That's right.
So cool. Yeah. I love what you're saying. And I love that this is what you decide to do, where you're bringing people together, because a lot of people these days want to bring people apart. Is that part of your job that gets you up in the morning and makes you really looking forward to the next event, or how does it work?
Yes, I believe, I don't know how much to get into this, but I've dealt with major depression.
Me too. Yeah.
And it's a constant fight, but it's a conscious fight. And so to be able to have something that I'm a part of that is like the most joyous and one of the most memorable days of people's lives. It does help me get up. It does help me stay focused. And the fact that I get to be a part of that it's just so cool. In fact, I don't know if you can see this bouquet that's behind me. My granddaughter's getting married April 2nd. And
nice.
So I'm doing all the flowers, all the decoration, and officiating. And so that's her bouquet. So,
cool.
But yeah, and she expects me to not cry. But I mean, and I'm like, I even cried when the invitations came in. So.
Well, love is love, and period.
Yep.
So
End
cool.
of discussion.
Right.
There's no more. Yeah. That's it.
So if I know I asked you this before, but I know you're on cloud nine because you got this one coming up April 2nd, I believe. But who else is a good candidate for your services? And how long do you need after the second? Can your team help you set one up? Or I assume that these things happen like a UFC fighter 3 times a year, 4 times a year, because a lot of work goes in there. I don't know.
I'm not following your question.
Oh, I'm saying like how many can you possibly do? Because I know how much work that goes into it. You can't do one of these a month, can you? Or can you?
Oh, I had 38 last October.
Oh my God! Wow, you got some team.
Just in October. Three weekends. I did 5 in a day. So
I didn't know that happened. Wow, I'm floored. I didn't know that you guys did so
I
many.
did two this last Saturday.
And you said
Yeah,
one of
I
them
mean,
was
it just
crazy.
depends. And one was really cute. In fact, I thought about you because we've talked about some of the fun stuff or funny stuff that happens. And of course, because the audience is facing me, they don't see what I see. And so there's a lot of times where I have to hold it together to be sure that the audience doesn't pick up on whatever's going on in the background. The second one I did Saturday. Now I always, when I get there, I usually try to be at a ceremony about 45 minutes to an hour before, so I can, actually get to meet the couple. And there's always a lot of stuff going on if the makeup artist is there or other vendors, or if they're depending on if they're doing pictures first. But I always try to be there about 45 minutes to an hour ahead of time. And I get the license and I go over, because a lot of times, sometimes couples will, in the questionnaire, I ask if you want me to ask who presents this woman to this man. And I've already put in there, I will never ask who gives, because you're not property. So I always say who presents this, but sometimes they'll say no. But then when they get there on the day, and if dad's there, a lot of times they'll change their mind. And so I always check that. And then I always check about the rings.
Oh,
and if they're going to
you tell me
be on a pillow or where they're going to be. And I think I told you last week about the ring that went in the platinum band that went 9 feet down into the pond.
And then you helped out with that.
Yes. So Saturday, when I got there, of course, I'm talking to them, and I said, what about the rings? Do you want me to just have them, or who's going to have them? And they said, oh, we have a ring bearer. And of course, that's always my cue to say, do they have the real rings? And so he said, well, yeah, the rings are tied to the pillow. And of course, because I want this to be anything they want it to be, I always just do it as a suggestion. And I said, can I suggest that you not tie the real rings to the pillow? Because it's a 3-year-old that's coming down the aisle. And so they were like, yeah, I guess that's probably a good idea. We can just tie something on, or, nothing really has to be on pillows. Nobody sees it. But anyway, they did take the rings off the pillow. And this particular venue has a very long aisle. And this was there were probably 250 people there. And so they opened the doors, and this little 3-year-old with the pillow and his little tucks, and he's so cute. And he gets about 2 steps in the door and freezes. And so then the mom comes over, and she tries to get him to come down the aisle a little more. So he walks a little ways more, and he stops again. And so, everybody's kind of doing this. And then finally the groom that's standing beside me is looking down this long aisle and just going, and like, come on. And so this little boy gets about halfway down the aisle, and he realizes he that everybody's watching him. And so he stops, goes back to the door again, and the mother then sends him back. He gets about halfway again, and then he just closes he goes like this. And I could see that he was, just squinting. And I guess it was kind of like, if I don't see them, they don't see me. And he just stood there with his eyes squeezed shut. And I mean, it was so cute. And so finally the mother walks further down the aisle, gets him on down the aisle. And and I leaned over to the groom and I just said, this is why we don't put the rings on the pillow. But the little boy never did get all the way to the altar. He got about 2 rows from the front and took off down the row. And but there's always something. And like I said, because I can see what's happening, and it was cute. It was
great,
cute.
perfect,
but we got the
perfect
rings
example.
and everything, and they got married. So
and they'll always
great.
remember that. And when the kid gets to be an adult, he'll never live it down. But
exactly.
these.
Oh yeah. And there's video, pictures, the whole bit. So, oh yeah, this will come back to haunt him for sure.
That's awesome. Let's go to the audience. Mr. Producer, you got some questions that come in? That's a great story, by the way. Thank you for sharing that. I'm laughing.
We have Tyler in Mississippi wants to know, how important is it to take time to choose your officiant and not wait until the last minute?
Well, I've had quite a few that wait till the last minute. And I think it really depends on what you're wanting. And I know one of the questions that I've gotten several times is, what's the difference in having you and paying you versus having my friend do it? Because, really, honestly, everybody knows you can go online and get certified to do anything.
But the friend isn't going to tell you not to give the real ring to a 3-year-old or to the dog.
Right.
You've been around a little bit, what's going on.
Right. And I think that is part of is just the experience, versus having your friend do it. Is your friend going to be able to stand in front of 200 people and not just read through something they found online? It all depends on what you want. I mean, if you want that, if you don't care, it's totally up to you. But the difference, again, like you say, is our experience in knowing what we can suggest and not suggest. And I mean, I've done them where they've called me that morning, and I've done the wedding that afternoon. And and a lot of that comes from being able to pull from ceremonies that I have written before. In fact, I got a call at 1:00 in the morning this weekend, I guess Friday night, that wanted to know if I could come to Parkland Hospital, which is one of our major hospitals in Dallas. And and I'm like, are you wanting me right now, or can we wait till at least morning? And they were like, no, but it apparently there was the groom was in the hospital. So on those kind of thing, and like I think the one I told you where the woman was in hospice. And that obviously was a last minute thing.
Yeah.
And those are kind of the things that where I think our expertise and our experience comes into play. But even for us, I mean, like even on 2/22/22, I had 3 people call me that day, and I just had them come to my house. And because they were going to go to a courthouse where the courthouses were packed. And so they called me last minute. And so, I mean, I don't have a problem with doing it last minute. So I think it just totally depends on, what anybody's wanting and I guess what their expectations are.
Yeah. Lisa, I got you. And if it makes any transition, I got to get a tooth out. I'm not going to Mr. Producer to take the tooth out. I'm going to someone who knows who's taken a bunch of teeth out. You know what I mean? Because that's not anywhere close to the first day of the rest of my life with someone who I love and I'm sharing my life with. So I don't know why you would go to someone who's not an expert. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Gotcha.
Well,
All
we
right.
hope so. So
Yeah. Mr. Producer, what else you got, buddy?
We have Christina in Phoenix wants to know, with all of your experience, do you feel like you've seen it all, or do you still get caught off guard sometimes?
Good question.
never, never, ever will see it all. Never. We'll never see it all. Every single ceremony is different. I mean, they're just as different as every couple. There's always something in, and I always tell my couples, and especially like right now, dealing with my granddaughter in the behind the scenes stuff, is that the thing is, nobody knows what you have planned. So if it doesn't come off as planned, nobody knows that but you,
Right.
or your wedding party or whatever. And so oh yeah, we'll never see it all.
But we love hearing about it, so that's pretty cool. A good question. Okay, what else you got?
Tom in Atlanta asks, have you ever had to pause a ceremony because of family drama, and how do you handle it?
Great question, Tom.
Well, we did have a mother of the groom that staggered down the aisle. So, and of course, like I just said, I can see this stuff coming and nobody else can because they're coming from behind them. So I was already kind of watching, and it's like, this might be ugly. But she did make it to her seat, and she was okay until we got to the rings. And when I started the exchange of the rings, she started, and I mean at this high pitch, like cat call, my baby, and where did the time go? Oh, my baby. And I just kind of got a little bit louder.
You had to talk over her.
And of course, I look at the groom, and he's like looking at me, and kind of like, okay, what do we do here?
We bounce her. What do we do?
Finally, I mean, he turned around and looked at her and said, "Mother, hush." And we turned around and kept going.
Oh, that's great.
And so that was probably the most well, I guess when the ring went in the water, and we were on Zoom all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than, and I mean, if I don't just have to, I won't stop. And like with that, especially like when the ring went in the water, I wear, this is my father's ring.
How quick were you to do
my
this?
dad's ring. And well, I mean, it was kind of like, we got to have a ring, and I got one. And so, and I have my ring, and then I have my dad's ring. So I've always got rings if we need them.
That's incredible.
And so I just pulled my dad's ring off and just kept right on and handed it to her to put on his finger. And and then in fact, the groom was like, "How'd you think of that fast?" I was like,
"That's what I'm saying.
We needed a ring." So,
and how kind is that to do? I mean, that's something that's you probably don't really take off. I mean, that's something so special to you, and you're gonna just give it to, that's how invested you are in this. This is how much you really care about what you're doing. And if that isn't an advertisement for the service that you get, I don't know what is.
Well, we try.
We try. Okay. Do we got time for one more? Yeah, we got time for one more. Okay, great.
Lori in Los Angeles wants to know, have you ever had to push through a ceremony in the rain?
Ooh.
In the rain? Yes. In the rain, on a boat, in the middle of Possum Kingdom Lake. So yes, Yeah, that was the best one of In the Rain because there was nowhere to go. I mean, we had 4 barges tied together and we were standing in the middle of one of the barges and it started raining. And of course, for all of them, they were going to all go swimming afterwards. Now they were dressed. I mean, he was in a tux, she was in her dress, but they had their swim stuff with them. I had 3 more weddings that day. And so,
So you weren't doing a cannonball with them, probably.
no.
And there was no top,
so
right?
They got the umbrellas up, but because the boat was rocking, the umbrella kept just kind of doing like this. And so I finally just stepped out from under it. It was like, whatever, I'll dry on the way back to the pier. Wow. And so that was the rain, the one that I did a couple weeks ago when it was 19 degrees, wind chill, 45 mile an hour wind, 19 degrees, and nearly froze. Obvious. I mean, in fact, I have a picture where I'm standing and I'm doing like this, and it's because when I dismissed everyone, I said to him, if you can still feel your hands and feet, you're welcome now to go into the reception inside. So
you are a trooper. You are a trooper.
Well, another one, especially for Texas, is the heat. And I did one out on a golf course in August. So the golf course, gorgeous big country club golf course. All these trees around the outside where we could have set up. It could have been set up easily in the shade, but no, it was set up out on the green in the boiling sun, and it literally was like 112 or something. And yeah, those are worse around here than trying to do them in the rain. So
I got you. Wow. I mean, the stories, Lisa Cage, everybody, we're out of time. Thank you for everyone who wrote in. I'm sorry I didn't get to everybody, but love your moment. Lisa, give us your final words. Great show. Thank you for being so honest and candid, and it's very inspirational how much you love what you do, and it really does show. So thank you. So let me give you the last word, my friend.
I love it. I love what I do. And like I said, it's one of those things that does get me up every day. And but you can contact us at loveyourmoment.com. That's our website, and it's spelled LOVEURMOMENT. You can email us at info@loveyourmoment.com. And or you can give us a call if I can find our phone number.
817
800 number.
Oh, 800.
It's 799 love, which is 5683. So it's 844-799-5683, and that's our business line.
All right, guys, for Lisa Cage, great job. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure. Lisa Cage, everybody. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you can now listen live on the MyTuner Radio and online Radio Box apps for iOS, Android, and the Amazon App Store. Or check us out online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on onlineradiobox.com/US so you don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.